Hi, my name is Merrick McKenna, reading from Arms Tossed Wide. Look down, fair moon, and bathe this scene. Pour softly down night's nimbus floods, on faces ghastly swollen, purple, on the dead, on their backs, with arms tossed wide. Pour down your unstinted nimbus, sacred moon. Walt Whitman. Americans like to think of themselves as rational, egalitarian, and God-fearing people whose generosity exceeds only their passion for individual liberty and freedom of conscience. Much of American history justifies this point of view, but a recurrent theme in our society, especially during periods of national crisis, is the sacrifice of democratic ideals to a devil theory of politics and history, whether in the form of Bavarian Illuminati, the great beast of Rome, the antichrists, radicals of the early 1920s, or communism. Contemporary historians, as a rule, deal with the politics of hysteria in a detached and objective manner. One major exception has been the treatment accorded by many writers to those conservative opponents of the Lincoln administration, commonly called Copperheads, Butternuts, or Peace Democrats. Historian Richard O. Curry. Copperheads. Politics from Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. The Copperheads were a vocal group of Democrats located in the northern United States of the Union who opposed the American Civil War, wanting an immediate peace settlement with the Confederates. Republicans started calling anti-war Democrats Copperheads, likening them to the venomous snake. The Peace Democrats accepted the label, but for them the copperhead was the likeness of liberty, which they cut from copper pennies and proudly wore as badges. Arms Tossed Wide. Prologue. August 1st, 1863. It seemed like time slowed down. The mob, only a second earlier, screamed and hollered at an ear-splitting pitch at the unarmed men in the wagons, now seemed to fall silent, as if someone had turned the volume down. The hazy heat from the mid-afternoon August sun reflected off the spiraling iron ball as it propelled through the air. Everyone present watched the bullet as it hit him in the head, just above the left eye. A split second before the round hit, he lurched forward, and then when the death shot hit its mark, he fell backward as his head and torso propelled his body back over the opposite side of the wagon. The Bible that he had read from so eloquently moments before fell from his hand and dropped to the wagon floor with its thud. The clamor of the crowd noise immediately went back to its elevated level. Soon the blood covered his blond beard and poured from his head wound down the left arm and onto the pages of the Bible that fluttered in the breeze. No one present at the time knew it, but another round hit him in the back just before the head shot. With everyone concentrating on his face, no one saw the other round hit him a split second earlier in the back. "He's been hit!" a young voice in the mob yelled. "He's been hit!" an older voice repeated with more enthusiasm. The rabble erupted in triumphant cheers as they rushed towards the wagons in what appeared to be a bloodlust attempt to finish the other 12 men off before they could escape. Wes Funk, even though the August afternoon temperature approached 100 degrees, sat atop his chestnut gelding in a long black coat with a top hat, yelled, "Drive!" The lifeless body of his friend forever seared in Funk's memory. Atop the mount, he was less than 6 feet away from where the corpse hung precariously out the wagon, head first. Funk's anxious horse made a nervous circle, and as it came around he reached out and slapped one of the mules hitched to the first wagon. He yelled again, "Drive!" and this time Jerome Chandler, the shocked driver, flicked the reins and yelled, "Go now!" and with that command the mules jerked to a start. Jerome switched the mules' hindquarters with his whip, and they picked up speed from a trot to a full run as they raced to escape the armed mob. "Get him up! God damn it! Get him up!" Wes Funk, with his coat pocket flapping in the wind, yelled at the two stunned men in the back of the wagon who stared with their mouths open in disbelief at the lifeless body. Sam Knight and John Walsh shook themselves present, at the same time reached out and pulled the dead man by the arms and shoulders into the wagon. As they laid him on his back, the blood pooled on the floor wagon floor, seeped through the floorboards, and left a bloody trail for anyone that wanted to follow the wagon caravan. Their second wagon followed, about 40 feet behind. From that wagon came Wyatt Butterfield's howling screams of pain that vibrated above the din of the mob's cheers, indicating his own gunshot wound was not fatal. Dolph Fawcett and Pat McCann pushed Wyatt down on the wagon floor and put pressure on his leg wound. Tom Howell yelled over his shoulder as he drove his wagon, "Hang in there now." Funk, with sweat pooling at the base of his spine, trotted behind the two wagons and continually watched the distance grow between their small caravan and the South English horde. Initially, some of the crowd tried to follow the wagons on foot, and since they surely all had horses, could have easily followed if they had wished to finish the rest of them off. For now the mob seemed satisfied to celebrate the victory of their kill and failed to give chase. Funk remembered the smell of liquor on Jim Mormon's breath as the wounded soldier, dressed in his blue army union, leaning against his crutch, had ripped the copperhead badge from the breast pocket of Funk's best coat. Satisfied that they would make their escape, Wes Funk grew angry with himself for allowing them to go out with Tally unarmed once again. Shaking his head to himself, he thought Tally never allowed his escorts to be armed. In disgust and anger, Funk thought to himself, "Look how it turned out. Tally laid in the first wagon, shot dead, and another good man shot up who knew how badly." Silently, Wes Funk prayed, "Please, Lord, don't let them kill us all." Thank you very much. Look forward to your comments.